Hello and welcome to Music Rewind, a podcast where we look to tell the stories behind our favorite albums. I'm your host, Steve Epley, and in each episode I will invite a guest to tell us about their favorite music album, how they discovered it, and what makes it special to them.
We now join the following program already in progress.
We'll throw it to you then, Doug.
Mine was favorite singer, and I was really a toss-up on this, but I want you guys to go through, and then I'll tell you mine.
I went with Roy Orbison, personally.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, like Running Scared and Blue Bayou are just perfection to me.
Yeah, I love Pretty Woman. I mean, that was maybe too mainstream, but he had so many good ones. But
you mentioned the Wilburys earlier. I mean, I love the tracks that he's got on there. Nobody's Child and
just his part when he he would just his
voice.
His 5 seconds of the song was awesome. It gave me chill bumps back then. I'm thinking because he was pretty much plucked out of obscurity, and then boom. And I don't know if people realize how big he was. I mean, he was in movies and all kinds of stuff, and he was the man there for a while.
There's a great concert, and most of it's on YouTube, called the Black and White Concert, where it's him and just doing all his hits, but his backing band is Elvis Costello, Bruce Springsteen. I want to say Ringo, but don't quote me on that one. But I mean, just like an all-star backup band, and just him singing his hits. It's called the Black and White Concert. The Black and White Concert.
Okay, that's
great.
I'll have to check that out, man. That's what. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his, and I think Van Halen did a couple remakes of his songs, and I think they did him justice. And I think I had said that I do usually like the originals better than somebody redoing them. And some of those songs, I think Van Halen. But I'm very prejudiced on that. I think they did justice to him with David.
Really,
Van Halen? Roth.
Is Van Halen your favorite band?
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna guess.
I've heard good things about them. Yeah,
yeah.
Luke, what's your favorite singer then?
See, this one was a difficult one for me. I tend to lean towards the more obscure, oddball, not a classically trained voice. So I don't know. Are you looking for classically trained? Because I mean, I could take the easier route and say Freddie Mercury or Elton John, but for my personal taste, I like Neil Young. Neil Young, he's not considered a great voice by any means, but it's something about the feeling and the emotion, and he's just got that. It works for me personally. So same with his guitar playing. It's dirty, gritty. He's got a sound.
There's a future episode of the podcast, not yet recorded, with a musician from the UK who's going to be doing Neil Young's Live Rust.
Really?
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. Yep, that's a fantastic album. And his voice works well with others. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. That they did their.
It was on my list, buddy. I mean, that's really good. Yeah,
and it's a unique voice. No one else sounds like
Rockin' in the Free World is completely different than Old Man, but both of them are rockin' tunes. They rock differently, but I like him too. Hey, and he just got his wife. Was it Daryl Hannah that played in Splash and all that? She's pregnant. I think she's 61.
Oh,
he's 77 years old.
Yep,
she's pregnant. Yep. They said they did it the old-fashioned way. I don't know what they mean by that.
I think the emphasis on the old.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got that right.
No kidding.
So yeah, short list too. Ray Davies, Roger Waters. I like I said, I don't like I shouldn't say I don't like. I don't lean towards the classically trained.
Yeah.
I like the unique voices.
Yeah. Who do you like?
Yeah, I guess that's the same. I did kind of the same thing, Luke. Mine, there's like I was thinking of a particular song, and one of them for me is Mark Lanigan from Screaming Trees on "Nearly Lost You." I don't know what it is about that song and his voice in that, but like it gets me every time. Just gives me like a chill on the back of my neck when I hear that. But I went like overall favorite singer. I went with Susan Tedeschi. I mean, that girl could sing me the phone book, and I would just be like, "What do you want me to do?"
Tedeschi Trucks Band.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you want me to do? I will do it. I mean, it's just one of those voices that just like, oh, I love the way she sings.
I caught them at Bonnaroo. They were great.
Nice.
Yes, that whole band is super solid.
Your Trucks is in the Allman Brothers now, right?
He's
The Allman
always
Brothers
kind
has
of
a bit of a revolving door of
Sure.
Yeah.
But Derek Trucks though, he's amazing guitar.
The other one I put on there was Levon Helm from the band.
Oh, nice.
Oh, the band, yeah.
I love. I've been listening to them a lot lately over the last few years for some reason. I never was super into the band, and then the last few years, it's just like I've been listening to them all the time. It seems like.
I love the band, and they're actually an answer I have later on for a question.
Cool.
But I love all three of their main singers now. I mean, Robert Robertson doesn't sing, but those are guys. Rick Danko, and Manuel.
Manuel. Yeah.
That's what. That's cool.
The Rick Danko, the harmonies that he does with the band, I mean, they're just phenomenal. Yeah. It's got that hillbilly. I'm not like musical.
I guess they used to turn Robbie Robertson's mic off.
Yes, he's a horrible singer. He's very horrible. They turned it off. Like, I guess I heard rumors that he was trying to sing at Woodstock, and they completely, when they did went back and listened to it, they edited him out completely because it was freaking horrible. I don't know if that's true or not.
I have two, because I have what I would consider the old classic singer, and then I would have a new, as far as my favorite singer. The old classic singer was the singer for bands like Free, Bad Company, The Firm, and took over for Freddie Mercury for Queen, and that was Paul Rodgers. To me, that guy...
That was too easy. I thought of that, too.
That has rock and roll, man. That guy can sing anything.
I know.
That's what...
I believe it. I believe it.
It may not be totally showy.
No, I agree with that, yeah.
I think I think
definitely.
he does have that perfect classic rock and roll voice.
He definitely does.
The modern guy, some people might not know, but Michael Sweet, who took the place of the singer for Boston when the singer passed away, but he also played with a group called Striper in the 80s, and he still sings. They're a Christian rock band, and he's like a hired gun. He's done stuff with George Lynch, and Tracy Guns from LA Guns and the original Guns N' Roses. And he's like that guy is consistently, he can get really, really high, which you have to do to sing Boston. But this guy is older, and he's like the only old singer I know that can still hit the things from when he was 20 years old. So I would look up some of his stuff as a modern.
Striper came up in the Kiss conversation as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what, and they just replaced the bass player after all those years. The band was pretty much together for 30 years. And from playing arenas to playing Goodfellas Pizzeria in Pekin, Illinois, doing acoustic versions, and that actually happened. Do you remember, Al? So they actually, to now they're back out there.
All right, final round of questions here. Who wants to volunteer first one?
I'll go first. So my final question is, which classic rock bands do you have a complete set of records for? So their entire studio discography. We don't need to delve into the B-sides and the live albums.
You can probably guess mine. Take a guess.
REO Speedwagon, right?
No. At one time I had the collection. Then later on, I kind of fell off on buying them. You know what I mean? But I had a lot of that. But mine would be very easy. Van Halen, and then anything with Ozzy that includes obscure songs. The Stairway to Heaven, Highway to Hell. album when he did the Purple Haze remake. Ozzy sings with Miss Piggy. I mean, there's obscure things that, you know, only in Japan, that kind of stuff. But all the way from Black Sabbath to, you know, till now. And then Van Halen is pretty much the same thing. I looked up on the internet and found some of the music stuff that Eddie Van Halen did, even if it was just snippets and things.
To include Van Halen 3, which we discussed.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I was the guy that bought that. So
I've got it. I got the CD.
Yeah. So Gary Sharon was there, you know, I mean.
That's another good voice. I mean, he's actually got a great voice. He could have been in that other earlier list.
Yeah, and Extreme was a great, you know.
He was put in an impossible. He was put in an impossible position there.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
impossible.
That was not his fault at all.
No, you're absolutely right. So,
so if we're going like vinyl, I mean, if you go MP3, I got everybody. I got it all.
yeah, that's right.
For vinyl, though, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, only the three. That's the only full, I guess.
Oh.
To answer Luke's, question, the completest would be
not even Deep Purple. You don't have the later stuff.
There's way too many. It's like the Stones. There's way too many. There's some albums that are like, and even Zeppelin. I don't have Houses of the Holy or the Coda or Presence.
I've got two copies of Coda. Al, you can have one of them.
Okay, I'll mail you my address.
You've redeemed yourself.
There you go. Now, Al, do you have Band of Gypsies on vinyl?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
So you've got all four. Yep, you've got all four, Jimmy. All right,
I love it.
See, my vinyl collection is not anywhere near y'all's. I mean, I'm a novice on that level. I have a lot more CDs than I have anything else. So my answer is an easy Pink Floyd and the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
Those are just. Yep. I mean, I've got them all. Several on vinyl as well. Pick and choose, but as far as CDs go, I do have all their studio albums and
Endless River,
even up to the Endless River.
All right.
I bought it. I'll reserve opinion.
And did you buy the Roger Waters, and did you buy their solo stuff later on?
A couple here and there. I've got. I have the Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, and what's that first Gilmore album? I can't remember what it's called now.
Because that's what I think. Some of that stuff's good too. You know.
But like the Endless River, though, it's okay. It's almost like Shine On You Crazy Diamond-esque, all of it.
Sure.
But without the lyrics. So to me, those good long Pink Floyd tracks where you have those great instrumentals, they build up to where the lyrics kick in. Like if you think of Echoes, there's those long sections, and then boom, the albatross comes flying in, that sort of thing. Whereas the Endless River doesn't have those lyrics coming in. It's just and then it goes back down.
Yeah.
So it's like it's great to fall asleep to.
Right. Background.
Oh, that's probably in the liner notes.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I saw a critic wrote that. Great to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Pink Floyd. I mean, I got it all back down to Piper at the Gates of Dawn, Saucer Full of Secrets, Uma Guma, Adam Hart Mother, all those crazy early albums that are just.
That's what my brother had one that I didn't know. It's one where they're sitting in the diner and it says, "Please pass the marmalade, the marmalade, the marmalade, the marmalade."
That's Uma Guma. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that Alan's psychedelic breakfast?
That's it. I'm going, dude, what are you listening to? But then later on, when the other stuff came out,
your brother smoked a lot of pot. Then too, right?
We won't go there.
So I also have all of Pink Floyd on vinyl, CD, MP. Pink Floyd is one of my all-time favorites. So the Regular Suspects, Beatles, Zeppelin. I've got the Police, all of their albums as well.
Right. They haven't been mentioned at all. Yeah.
Yep, I love the Police.
Speaking of rhythm sections, how come nobody mentioned?
Yep.
I was going to say,
Sting and Copeland.
He's one of my favorite drummers too. He's awesome. I mean, that's
it.
And Dire Straits, I've got all of theirs on vinyl. Al and I were just talking about this the other day. The Brothers in Arms. My vinyl copy sounds horrible. And Al said that Mark Knopfler wanted to record the latest and greatest technology, which was digital at the time. So is that a reason why the vinyl doesn't sound as good as
most likely
the MP3? That's possible. And then also, I don't know if you guys are going to give me credit for this, but Derek and the Dominoes.
Derek and the Dominoes.
They had one album. Yes.
Yeah.
Come on,
No,
well, no. What about the live album? Do you have that?
I do not.
Okay, that's nope.
But
doesn't count.
Here's another fun fact. Here's another fun fact. Did you know Derek and the Dominoes were the band that played with George Harrison on All Things Must Pass?
It did, and
so does that count as a Derek and the Dominoes
probably
album?
Because attributed to some of the behind the scenes wife issues of.
Yes. Yep.
And the Delaney and Bonnie albums as well were Derek and the Dominoes.
Nice. Yep. And obviously Duane Allman influenced that album tremendously. So, Yep.
Sure.
So I think that's. I'm very close in Van Morrison. My dad was a diehard, but if you look at Van Morrison's discography, it is exhaustive.
Oh, it's immense.
A lot of albums there. Yeah.
Yep. I think I'm just missing the last few that have come out. He's still releasing an album or two every year.
I was going to ask you. So you even still have the later ones?
When my dad passed in 2011, I made it a point to go out and get every Van Morrison album.
That's cool. Tribute. Yeah.
Yep. So I have fallen off on the last couple, but it's because he really is. He's still just cranking them out. Two albums a year sometimes. It's nuts.
Dang.
I had no idea. Yeah.
So same with Neil Young. Neil Young is still cranking them out too. So
does Neil Young still own Lionel trains? I know at one time he had bought Lionel trains out because he had a handicapped son and they liked playing with trains. So he had enough money to buy. They were going to close up Lionel trains. So I don't know if he still owns or not.
Now, see, I had no
Google
idea.
Search.
Okay, who's up for next?
What you got, Doug, for your last question?
Mine was your favorite jam. I have two things, like a favorite song and then an actual jam session. I'll go ahead and I'll tell you that probably my favorite song that, like, if I want to walk into a wedding party or something, they want to intro me or whatever, would be Crazy Train, Ozzy. It was kind of the story of my life. You know what I mean? But as far as my favorite jam, if I'm sitting there just wanting to listen to some guys jam out, that would be the Outlaws' Green Grass and High Tides.
Oh, that's a good answer.
That's what I really like, that, just a jamming, you know.
Yeah, that's a great track. That's a track I had never heard of until Guitar Hero.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which I will openly admit, yes, I played a lot of Guitar Hero. It was a fun game. But the trying to play that song on Guitar Hero.
9 minutes and 48 seconds. So I couldn't have put it in my favorite long song, but it was really close.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, as far as a jam, I like that.
They've got a good version of Ghost Riders on the Sky too.
Oh yes, yeah, that's another good. Yeah,
I wasn't sure what you were going for with this question, so I actually have two answers as well. My first is as far as a jam session, which is kind of a cheat, but it's Cortez the Killer. It's from a live thing with Grace Potter and Joe Satriani. It was from an award show called the Jammies.
Oh,
and there's also a trumpet player who's famous, but I forget his name. But that song is phenomenal, and just Grace Potter. If you're not familiar, she's another great vocalist. I've seen her a couple times, and she's really, really good. And then towards the end, everybody else kind of trails off, and Joe Satriani just takes like the last 3 minutes himself
and just jams. Yeah, he's awesome. Yep.
And then my other one was "Get Ready" by Rare Earth, the 23-minute version. It's quite long, but I love listening to it because you got some really amazing drum solos in the middle and some others. But I don't know if it was recorded live or not. There's like some conspiracies that they piped in the crowd noise.
Oh, well,
like Kiss Alive,
Kiss Alive.
1, 2, and 3.
It wasn't really live.
It starts out a good minute and a half, 2 minutes of just kind of organ.
Yeah.
with a little bit of drums, and then eventually, because I think they were on the Motown label themselves, Rare Earth was, but then eventually it starts with it changes to dun, 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 and then the crowd goes nuts. Yeah. So it's really a good good jam session. And but you got to sit. That's 23 minutes long for that one.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't know. I thought like you were going for like a jam, like a rockin' tune. So basically anything off Soundgarden's "Bad Motorfinger" again.
Oh yeah.
And then I just put the title track from Smoke. That's I always listen to that thing. I don't know. Something about that song just gets me like moving and ready to do stuff.
I got one that people might want to look up, and it's a group that Al probably knows, and that's Honky Toast. And they had Shakin' and a Bacon. Yeah. And that is a jamming tune. And I actually like the CD, but probably they probably didn't sell very many, but that is I come into work one time and my boss is like, "Why are you so happy?" I said, "Oh, I just love this song." And I was out, working in the hot sun, and I was jamming to that tune. And, when I told them the words to some of the songs, they're like, okay. You know what I mean? So, but it's a jamming tune. It makes me happy. But, that was just something that popped in my head when Al was talking about the other there. So it's hard to pick a favorite, but that's a good jam.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I struggled with this one too, so I have two answers. I actually text Al and I said, "Does he mean jam band or does he mean your favorite song?"
Yes.
So I originally thought jam band, so I'm thinking Grateful Dead, Fish, that type of thing. So when I thought that, I said Allman Brothers, Jessica.
Oh,
yes,
That's what I think of when I think of a jam band. That song is just
they're definitely a jam
beautiful.
Band.
Gives you the feels. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but personally, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, "The Punk and the Godfather" by The Who off of Quadrophenia. That song is just perfection. When I think of The Who, when I think of bass guitar, John Entwistle's tone, that's the song I go to. Pete and John are having a conversation with their instruments in the song. Yeah. It's just like almost a war at the beginning. They're going just back and forth. It's just, there's something about that. And obviously Keith Moon, he's just an animal in that one too. So that's it. If we're talking jam as song, that one, Al said, think of a song that gets you riled up. That's the one. You're exhausted at the end of it. That song just does it for me. So
it's a good one.
Yeah. And my first thought was jam band as well. And my favorite jam band is outside of classic rock, which is OAR. If you ever listen to them, I love it when a band can take a 2-minute or 3-minute song on their album and turn it into 10 minutes live. I love seeing that.
Right.
Well, I've seen OAR in concert as well. Used to be big into Dave Matthews, OAR, that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I'll take the next one. What's a classic rock guilty pleasure of yours? Something that's kind of universally panned, but you enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I never understood like the guilty pleasure thing. To me, if you like it, I don't feel guilty about it.
That's exactly right.
I think that's why he tacked on universally panned. So you appreciate it yourself, but the rest of the world says, "Oh."
I'll go with okay. So what I thought of was the album "The Big Prize" from Honeymoon Suite. Anybody remember Honeymoon Suite?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember seeing them at a state fair. But they were popular there for a little bit.
They opened up for, I think, like Hart or somebody.
Yes, they did. Yep.
And I still listen to that every once in a while.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's a lot of those groups that you don't hear from, but I mean that was good. I like that.
And the album after that, I think it was called like Racing After Midnight or something like that. I like that one too.
Right.
And then, poof, they're gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
What I heard something about like the guitar player got in a car wreck or something and hurt his hand or something, and then there's a big lull. I don't know. It was something like that a long time ago, obviously, but that'd be mine, Honeymoon Suite. So look them up.
That was
Look them up.
Do yourself a favor. I think that's that's a good one.
So I struggled with this one as well. I don't really have anything that I'm ashamed of, but universally panned. I dig
other than the Billy Ray Cyrus first concert.
He was 5. Let's give him a break.
Hey, that album sold like hotcakes. That song is huge.
But so did WAP. That's
and Milli Vanilli. Yeah. So I dig Ringo Beatle tracks. I don't skip over them ever. With a little help from my friends, Don't Pass Me By, Octopus's Garden. What Goes On is an amazing song. So I just that was the best I could think of. I know Ringo is usually not considered the greatest Beatle of all time, but I mean he's straightforward rock
too. I mean, I like his old, but he's got new stuff too, and he gets all these superhero guys to come in and play with him. They're just friends, and they want to jam with him. So
there you go.
No, that's a good thing. Yeah, I like that answer.
So that was the best I could think of, and no downplaying Ringo. He's an all-star. He's one of the greats. So, but
I think he's the highest paid. I think he's the highest paid drummer.
I read that too.
Yeah,
I read that too.
If you want him to play on the album, he's the most expensive drummer.
There you go.
I'll build off that, and it's a bit of a cheat, but it's because it's not really an album. But there's a movie, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, with the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton. I love that movie. I love it to death.
Dude, you're the only person that liked it.
I do like the album and some of the songs.
It is so entertaining. Way back in the day, to take it was a massive attempt to put all these Beatles songs into some sort of cohesive story, and it's just so damn entertaining because you got George Burns singing. I can't remember it now, but you got so much crazy shit going on. You got robots singing. You've got Aerosmith as the villain at the end. The weather vane turns into Billy Preston.
There's definitely a lot of cocaine is a hell of a drug, and that's what you know what I mean. And so they made it as coherently as they could. They weren't all functioning on that.
But it's as classic rock as you can get with who they've got in there and what they tried to do, and I enjoy it, but nobody else does.
Hey, you know what? That's. I can see that.
That's definitely the definition of a guilty pleasure.
That's what.
There you go.
For my guilty pleasure, I was telling you when we were talking about Weird Al, I went and saw 2 of his concerts, and they were excellent concerts. You didn't have to worry about any fighting or anything like that. But I'm going to have to go. I've got 2, and that is the Ramones. Because they got panned by the critics, and I really like the Ramones. And then another group that musically they suck, but I loved their attitude growing up, and that's the Sex Pistols. And I would I throw those songs in, and a lot of the stuff didn't make it to the radio for obvious reasons. But I like that. I guess the Sex Pistols album would be kind of like Appetite for Destruction before Guns N' Roses, because it was pretty much attitude. It was
all attitude.
Yeah, all attitude, and it might not sell records, and it definitely had them banned almost everywhere. I mean, they were really in trouble with their government. And
I've tried to listen to the Sex Pistols, and you're right. I mean, not necessarily guilty pleasure, like as far as. I mean, they're just like the Ramones. Over time, they've gotten their due. They've been deemed very influential. Them and like the Clash and others. And it's just, but I've tried to listen to Sex Pistols. It doesn't resonate with me. I can't get to it. Musically,
it's raw. No, musically they suck. It was the attitude. I mean, Sid Vicious didn't even know how to play the bass, but he could cut himself with a glass bottle, and it sold albums. And but it's just attitude. But the Ramones and the Sex Pistols at the time were kind of the head of the schedule. The only or head of the punk scene. The only other group that I think predated them was the band called Death. That was the three African American brothers that sat there and jammed out in their bedroom.
Great album.
And if you haven't heard of them, it's a band called Death. They, I think, were the originators of punk rock. And then it went to, I think they were out of Michigan. I think it was Detroit, Michigan. Their dad was a preacher. And the people would be walking past their house, and it was just so obnoxiously loud. And they said, what are you guys playing? Because it wasn't what they were used to. It definitely wasn't Motown. And one of their songs is basically people knocking on the door, telling them to turn it down or what's going on in there. And they made a song out of it. But there was a death. The singer died, and the two brothers, they still go out every once in a while. I saw a documentary on them, and they still go out every once in a while, but it's a band that a lot of people didn't know about. But I think if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have Ramones or Sex Pistols or even any of the punk bands that, like it or not, they, have pretty much, it was a short-lived thing. It was like disco, where it was a short-lived thing, and maybe
something
that's
that I learned recently in my bits of research from upcoming Animals episode is that apparently there was like a one-sided rivalry between Sex Pistols and Pink Floyd, where Sid Vicious even had a "I Hate Pink Floyd" shirt, and he was photographed with it and wore it in concerts. And
it said Pink Floyd, and then he wrote in black Sharpie, "I hate."
Roger Waters was asked about it, and his answer was kind of like, "Who?"
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to be fair,
we don't care.
I think the Sex Pistols had other bands had problems with them, because even Queen, Freddie Mercury was going to get into it with Sid Vicious, but Sid Vicious actually backed down. So that's and they were totally anti-music establishment. And you have the Sex Pistols. I think that was part of the stick.
It was
to sell albums and stuff. They pissed off the Queen. They pissed off everybody. They couldn't stay in hotels. They couldn't, the record albums would pick them up and drop them right away. They didn't want their albums made. They would give them some money and buy the things, and somebody would buy them out. And it was just amazing that they got an album out.
Yeah.
So who was the singer, Sid Vicious or Johnny Rotten?
Johnny Rotten. And Johnny Rotten,
Sid Vicious?
He was the bass player.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the second bass player. The first bass player got out, but he's still alive. And him and the guitar and drummer are doing a documentary. But
was it Glenn Matlock? Was that the guitar player?
It is Glenn, but I can't remember.
Matlock, I think.
But he was definitely. You can't tell him. He's not a phenomenal guitar player. He was a punk guitar player. No, none of them were excellent, or probably beyond high school band capabilities. But it was the attitude.
Yeah, it was all an attitude at a certain place in a certain time.
Yes,
that's it.
Things were really downtrodden in England, and there was no future. And so they wrote a song about it and played it. And they're doing a documentary, and Johnny Rotten wasn't even asked to be in it. Then he was going to sue the company, the rest of the bandmates, and they own the rights to his name and everything. So he can't even... He wasn't invited into it, and he can't make a rebuttal.
A lot of bands did that. They sold all their rights to everything away because they needed money when they were broke. And
So it was
actually Bruce Springsteen just sold his for $500 million.
$500 million.
Holy cow! That is insane.
And Motley Crue got $150 million for their catalog, and you hear
did Neil Young sell his?
You hear.
I don't think he ever will.
There was the whole Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson battle for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Because Michael Jackson brought the Beatles catalog.
Because Paul McCartney told him that this is how he was making money, because Paul McCartney was buying all the artists' material. And so Michael, in his wisdom, sat there and bought all the Beatles stuff. So he kind of stabbed them in the back, you know.
I think he may have bought them back after Michael Jackson died.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Can you imagine how much that'll be worth? I mean, if Springsteen gets 500, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I couldn't even put a number on it.
Right.
You know, $1 billion. I mean, think about it. You know, the catalog that they have.
You're not too far off. Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, Alan, go ahead and take us into your last question.
My last question is, if you could go back in time to see a concert, who or and when and what would it be?
There is a correct answer to this question as well.
I agree.
I agree.
That would be the Who live at Leeds, February 1970. So
not Isle of Wight.
Steve, you'll appreciate this. Tommy in full at that concert. Now, the vinyl record that they sold back in the day, they cut out Tommy and gave you the rest of the songs. But they did indeed play from start to finish Tommy. I think that would be just a
I've got a DVD
concert.
of them doing Tommy, and I wonder if it's that show. I don't know. It's with
it very well
John
could be.
Entwistle has the skeleton, outfit on.
He wore that a lot, though. He wasn't the original. Yeah. That wasn't just one concert. He wore that quite often.
And they do a great version of A Quick One while he's away at that concert as well, which is one of my favorite Who songs. So, yep, I sound like a broken record. Yeah, I think you can tell who my favorite classic rock band is. Well,
that's a good one. I like that. Yeah. To go back in time, man, there's so many things, but I have two things because I didn't know if I'd go back in time to a band that the name of the band to see them or a festival. And for me, the festival would be the US Festival in 1983. Because you had Judas Priest, Motley Crue. I mean, Van Halen. That Van Halen got paid $1 million to do their set at the end. That was the big thing.
Oh, that was the concert you mentioned in your show.
Yes.
Then,
yeah. So, and if you listen,
nobody wanted to go on ahead of Van Halen.
Exactly.
Judas Priest killed
that was probably
the best one that day.
Yes, the best recording of anything they ever did. And I think it was just like everybody was playing very well, at that time. And, I don't know if they were sober.
I think there's a documentary about that on like HBO Max or something. The US Festival.
Oh, it's on. Boy, I'd have to look that up. But that would be if I wanted to see one concert. But if I wanted to go back in time and see, because of the death of Lemmy, would be Motorhead. I'd never seen Motorhead live, and I would have loved to seen Motorhead. My ears would still be ringing, but it would be awesome to to see them live.
That would be good. I'd have to, that'd be great. And what about
my take on this answer is The Last Waltz by the band, November 25th, 1976.
Awesome choice.
I consider that too.
It's a concert I watch often, listen to it often. I mean, just the band playing all of their hits, but the guest lineup just nails it. With you got Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Dr. John, Van Morrison, Eric Clapton, Ringo Starr. The list goes on, and it's just I would have loved to have been in the show of that one.
That version of the night they drove Old Dixie down, it gets me every time with the horn section in there and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the drum roll, and then it comes in. It's like, oh man, it's like they're just a little bit behind the beat, and it's just so killer, that version. I love that version.
It sounds like that thing would be bigger than Woodstock. You wouldn't have the piss and the massive weep.
There's a great moment during Further On Up the Road where Eric Clapton's playing and starts out, and Eric Clapton's got this intro solo that's phenomenal, but then he breaks a string. And he yells out, "Robbie," and he turns around, and Robbie Robertson just with a guitar that's completely differently tuned, but just cuts right into the same solo, and he continues on while Clapton gets a new guitar, and seamless. And just,
wow.
I mean, and these are guests. It's phenomenal.
And for years that the Neil Young part where they had to go in and digitally erase the coke, that was in it. Yeah. There was like a white boulder in his nose.
It comes out and you can see it. Little hanging there. Yeah.
That's crazy. Mine was I went a little bit more personal, I guess. Mine was Guns N' Roses opening for the Cult, September 4th, 1987, because I could have went, and nobody wanted to go with, and I didn't want to go by myself. They played at San Diego State University open air. This was Guns N' Roses opening for the Cult.
Yeah, the Cult was awesome. Yeah, they had
this was in '87.
Yeah, the Cult has a lot of hits. Yeah,
it was. They were touring. Yeah, they were touring on Electric on the Electric album. Just Sanctuary,
and Rain, and they just had a lot of songs.
I would have went with you, but I was busy in second grade.
Yeah, the cool uncle would have took you out of school, and
and flew you to San Diego.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I did almost change my answer after our previous conversations, though, to be able to sit in that early tour where you had, like Doug was saying, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
During that particular, I don't know what the hell that
prepackaged type tours that they used to have. Yeah.
Yep.
Caravan of Stars or whatever they
come into your town and you'd hide your women, and
that would have been cool.
They do like a 20-minute best of set, each one of them, and then go off and do their drugs and drink backstage.
That's what I was going to say, and blow their shit up. They back then you could buy dynamite at the hardware store, and they were famous for going out and buying dynamite and throwing it out windows and blowing shit up. So Johnny Cash got arrested for that one time, and he just had to spend the night. But they were just having fun, drinking too much, and people want to ruin your buzz. Yeah, never happens.
Well, one thing I almost picked also was the Freddie Mercury tribute concert from 1992.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah,
that was really good. So you had Metallica in there and Guns N' Roses doing their own personal songs, but then you had all these other great artists singing Queen tunes: Roger Daltrey, Robert Plant, George Michael. Elton John. I mean, so many.
I can remember even the first Farm Aid where Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen came out, but they had Mellencamp and Willie Nelson and things like that. It was just a really good.
I could have went to that. I could have went to that too, but I got in trouble like the week before because I was out drinking.
Right.
And my parents grounded me and would not let me go to that. And I still bring that up every once in a while.
They still don't know what they did.
The first Farm Aid. I could have went to the first Farm Aid.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It wasn't my fault that I was out.
Next time I see Aunt Carol, I'll give her crap about that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Oh, well. Live and learn. I like to say I learned a lesson from that, but I didn't.
Back at it the next week.
Yep.
You're a trooper.
Twice as hard just to piss them off.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, if we want to, we can go into that extra question we didn't get to. What's your favorite live album?
That's cool.
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead on that.
So mine was, I was in, I think it was sixth grade. A buddy of mine, Larry Medeiros was his name. He brings this album in. He's like, I don't really like this. You want to listen to it? And of course, I'll listen to anything once, right? So he gives it to me, and it's Queen Live Killers.
Oh,
and it's like that launched me on my whole Queen loving path.
Yeah.
And then I went back, and then I listened to News of the World, which was Steve was at your dad's house all the time. I would listen to it all the time. Every time I go over there, and I was over there a lot.
So I'll blame you for the scratches on that vinyl. It's right over there.
A lot of good
Love it.
songs.
Love that song. The song "It's Late" is one of my favorite songs. It's like the next to last song on side 2. Love that song to this day. Still play it all the time. And so, yeah, that album, it was a freebie, complete freebie, which is the best kind.
Right.
And yeah, he just was like, I don't really like it. Like, okay, checked it out. Loved it. Played the shit out of that thing.
Cool.
Still, I don't have the exact copy because, I go through stages where I sell all my vinyl back and then I end up buying it all back again, blah, blah, blah. But I have a copy, but not that original copy. But.
Cool.
So that's mine.
So this may go back to our original question. I don't know if he's really considered classic rock, but we've been talking about him quite a bit. So Van Morrison, it's too late to stop now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He sounds just as good as the studio albums on this live album. It's crisp, clean. He's one of those guys that if the crowd cheers in the middle of a song, he'll say thank you in the middle of a verse or chorus. So I thought that was pretty neat too. But I went to see him in 2009 with my dad at the Chicago Theater. And he opened with Wild Night, which is one of my favorites from him, off Tupelo Honey. So the best part of the concert. So he's in the middle of a song, and he drops the microphone and walks off the stage, and that was the end of the concert. The band finished the song. They played it out, but when band was done, he was done.
Axl Rose was like that. Axl Rose was like that, yeah.
There you go. So, that's rock and roll. So I don't care if he's considered classic rock or not.
Have you heard the version of Caravan from The Last Waltz?
I have not. Nope.
So you're familiar with the song Caravan, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, I've seen The Last Waltz. Yeah. I've heard it. It's been a while.
I heard that version first from The Last Waltz, which is one of my favorite tracks on that entire album. He just there's so much energy the way he does it. And he gets the band, kicking in the background, and then you hear the studio version, and it's like, wow, this is completely different. It was just a whole different song.
Some bands are like that.
Yeah.
So that would be your favorite album. So that'd be your favorite live album then, The Last Waltz.
It could be, but I keep leaning back towards Eagles Live. Sorry, man. My dad had Eagles Live on cassette.
Yeah,
and I would mow my lawn, on riding lawnmower with a little Walkman, and I would listen to Eagles Live over and over.
It's again. It's the one with the road case, the red road case, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's got the embossed, like the edges, you can feel it are raised and. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that album.
It's kind of which most live albums are, a greatest hits. So a lot of their deeper tracks, really that's where I heard them first, like Duel and Dalton and others. And
Seven Bridges Road
is on there.
Super good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all from that Eagles Live album. And it's easily a favorite.
I've got two. One is the quality of the live sound is not that good, but it's still popular. And the other one I like the sound quality of. But Cheap Trick live at Budokan was the one that I listened to, and I would watch my brother and sister, and I would just in the summer, Mom and Dad would have me watch them, and I would just jam that out. You know what I mean? So live at Budokan was one of my favorites. But as far as clarity and stuff, it's I've got worse. I got an Anthrax album, Bring on the Noise, and they should have not brought it out. I think a radio station or something did. I think they literally had 2 microphones, and you can't understand anything. And so that was definitely out. Not that I don't listen to it, but you can't listen to it loud because the speakers distort so bad. So you're just like, and Anthrax is not easy listening music. You know what I mean? But the live album that I like, that I really, the sound quality, besides the reverb on the guitar, but it's very clear, would be Ted Nugent's Double Live Gonzo. And that Ted Nugent is a phenomenal guitar player, and he did he kind of did the Hendrix thing with the feedback and all that stuff. Well, he was friends with Jimi Hendrix. You got to remember that these. Oh yeah. A lot of those guys, like he says, he never does drugs or alcohol because all his friends are dead. But that Double Live Gonzo, you had where he would talk in between and things like that. And he'd do his spill. It wasn't political spill then, but it was fun-loving, get the crowd going, and the crowd's cheering and everything. But Stranglehold Live that's about a 9-minute song. That could have been a long one too. Yeah. But man,
that's a song that doesn't get enough credit. Yeah, it's phenomenal. You see it in concert, and it's one guy playing an instrument that sounds like a whole thing. And Ted Nugent had so many songs. Everybody knows them from Cat Scratch Fever. Well, that song is lame. You know what I mean? That for one of his songs,
Sweet Boon Tang.
Now that's one of the greatest love songs ever made. Yeah. So, but I think that Double Live Gonzo, as far as quality of the recording and everything, and you'll hear the fireworks and stuff go off, not like the fake Kiss stuff, but the clarity of instruments, even though his guitar is guaranteed to blow the balls off a charging rhino at 50 paces, I think is what he says. And his guitar refuses to play sweet shit, And if people want to get mellow, they can just get the F out of the auditorium, because he was there to rock your socks off. And I believe that's, as far as a live album, I think that one's with clarity. I'll have to listen to the Van Morrison. I don't think the piano gets distorted, but Ted Nugent really played onto that.
Remember when VH1 had like pop-up video?
Oh yeah.
I saw once where they were doing the Damn Yankees, High Enough.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Good 80s ballad, or 90s. I don't know when they came out with the Damn Yankees, but Ted Nugent was doing his own thing on the set.
Yes.
So you had the guy from Styx. I can't remember his name.
Tommy Shaw.
No,
Tommy Shaw.
Yeah,
Tommy Shaw. He was the lead singer, so he's all serious in the video. Yeah. And then there'll be a little pop up in an arrow saying "Incoming Ted."
Yes.
So yeah, Ted Nugent will like crash the stage. He'll play a couple licks, and he'll like leave the stage, and while Tommy Shaw's still trying to play it serious, and it went through the whole video doing that.
That's the way I saw him in concert. They opened up for Bad Company, and Howie was it Howie? Howie was playing, was singing. Howie or Howie was singing. He just passed away. He just passed away about 6 months ago. But it was the Holy Water Tour, I think. And
that was at Civic Center. I saw that.
Well, this one was in,
or was it the
Bloomington? This
was in Bloomington?
Yeah, Bloomington. And I'll tell you what, it was when we were first going into Iraq, and Ted Nugent was it was very I never seen an American flag that big. It was the whole stage. I mean, it was just huge, and everybody was cheering, and he was calling Saddam Hussein a little pissant, and, basically he busted out with Stranglehold, and it was just awesome. And then, like you said, the other guys who were rockers played more serious, and he's running around and he lays on the stage. He's doing a solo, and it's like he leaned too far back, fell on his back, and he just kept on jamming. And the guitar player and everybody grabs legs and grabs behind, and he's sitting there jamming. They walk him behind the curtain, and you could just hear him just wailing the shit out of his guitar. And then he comes running back out on stage, and they're trying to chase him down, and he's the Motor City Madman. I mean, he used to fly in with wearing a loincloth, and and just go bombastic. His concerts were really good. I've seen him a few times, and sad to say, I saw him at a state fair when there was only a couple guys, and then I seen him at Peoria. There was a lot of people at one of the bike rallies, and they actually brought the singer from Attaboy Dukes actually came in, and he passed away, I think, last year. So all these classic guys are, about the end of their run, but Ted Nugent's still out there, playing probably 70, 80 shows a year,
Is he really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. He takes a lot of time off to hunt, and that's what he's got enough money. He don't have to worry about it.
All right. Gets through all the questions. I'm going to.
Yeah.
The Beach Boys not mentioned once.
Oh. And I like
once.
Or the Monkees.
Or the Doors.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, no Beach Boys, no Doors,
and see the Doors.
All the Monkees out there. Mike Nesmith just passed away. Too.
Yeah, that's right. So there's only one left. Yeah,
the Kinks, huge.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Kinks. You said Ray Davies.
Ray Davies. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
you're right. Jethro Tull. How about Jethro Tull?
Rock and flute. I don't know.
Steely Dan.
Well,
that's one of those bands that I didn't like at the time because I thought they were way too slick. But now I listen to them quite a bit. I got the double live album, and I just
Can't Buy a Thrill is still one of my favorites.
Who did you mention after the Beach Boys? Because I like the Beach Boys too, but there was
we didn't mention the Beach Boys. We didn't mention the Monkees, the Doors.
Oh, the Doors. This Is the End was. Yeah. I was thinking of doing that as my favorite long song. This Is the End was a good one too.
I had that on my list too.
Yeah,
I thought that was too easy.
When the Doors were on, they were great. But there's some songs that are kind of unlistenable at times.
Yeah. Well, you have to be stoned. And that's what, or you know what I mean? I mean, it's just they were, when they come up, this sounds great. And then the next day they're like, what the hell? Well,
they can't all be winners.
Yeah.
And I did get to see the Beach Boys at Bonnaroo, which was real nice.
Nice.
It was,
that's awesome.
It was largely, the remaining Beach Boys members and a fantastic backup band.
Yes.
But still, just to be able to see, Brian Wilson, singing "God Only Knows," I mean, just wonderful.
And I would say they were classic. I don't know blues. I mean, but I think that's
Pet Sounds is a fantastic album. I mean, there's just it's not for everybody, but it's still a great album.
I heard Charles Manson loved it. But yeah.
Who else did we not mention as far as classic rock staples? I'm trying to think of
David Bowie.
Oh, how was David Bowie?
That would,
Several people have said that Ziggy Stardust is like their, almost they brought it in, but that's a deep one to talk about, and they may not have the the knowledge to back it up. It's a great album, but there was always another album that they had more knowledge of.
Velvet Underground.
Oh yeah, Velvet Underground. But I would think
that's another Sex Pistols type.
Yeah, band. That's exactly what Sonic Youth and all those. I don't know if they're classic because I really don't know. My guilty pleasure was the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, but I don't put them as classic rock really. Ramones did have Take Over the Airwaves and. They had a couple songs. If they slowed down, they can do it. But they were just. But then again, they did bring something to the table that might stand the test of time as far as like Blitzkrieg Bop. It was on a kid's cartoon, and there were some things I'm going. When Led Zeppelin is selling Cadillac station wagons, and they played, what was it? The Hellion, Judas Priest, the Hellion, to sell Chrysler minivans a few years back.
Welcome to the jungle. They're selling Nissans now. So.
Yeah. Welcome to. I mean, some of these things, those guys when they were thinking of it, weren't thinking that they were going to be selling laundry soap and things like that.
They'll take the money for it though.
Hell yeah, and I don't. I'd be right there with them. Do you want to sell?
You guys.
Yes, I do. I was selling.
How much?
How much? Yep.
Do you guys put Billy Joel in the classic rock era?
I do.
I would.
It's like Glass Houses and Strangers. I would say, yeah.
Piano Man, Innocent Man.
Yeah.
ELO is another one we didn't mention.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. ELO, that's another traveling Wilbury.
Yeah, Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne was on all of Petty's solo albums, right?
He's a producer and collaborator often with Tom Petty. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because I always found that odd. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty would do a solo album, but all the Heartbreakers were on it, plus Jeff Lynne. So that makes it a solo album? I guess that confused me.
Some people say you could even say that Full Moon Fever was like Wilbury's Volume 2-ish.
Sure.
But it was more, obviously Petty on the front.
That's probably my favorite album from him.
We didn't really mention like groups like Deep Purple.
Yeah,
I think
they were huge.
And oh god,
Carlos Santana.
Santana, yeah. I mean, that guy.
Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, Thin Lizzy.
Jefferson Airplane.
That definitely classics, man. This list, like I said, we could talk forever, and it took a lot just to try to narrow down something. Even if I said, you know what.
It did.
I got to put down 2 or 3 because I cannot narrow it.
We had multiple answers for many of these questions.
Yeah.
On the live album too, I didn't want to be a one-hit thing, but Ozzy's tribute to Randy Rhoads is a great album with the drum solos and everything like that, and I really enjoyed that. The quality of the taping, I don't think, was as good as.
I don't know where I got it, but I've got a version of Mr. Crawley with Randy Rhoads playing live, and it's one of those solos. There's 2 solos in the song, but they're very emotional because he just keeps going.
It's off that live album.
Is it?
Greg Satriani was a student of Randy Rhoads.
Was he?
Randy Rhoads was a classical music guitar player, and he was a teacher of Satriani. So
all plane crash that got Randy Rhoads?
Yeah, he actually his plane crashed into the tour bus. He was touring with Ozzy. Well, he was Ozzy's guitar player, and they were messing around and jacking around with a private plane.
They were trying to do one of the wing dips.
Wing dips,
and it clipped the top of the tour bus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it killed him. In history, you've had rock stars that died in plane crashes or bus crashes, but this one was the double whammy. This was totally, and it was right in front of Ozzy and Sharon. One of Sharon's best friends was on tour with them and used to help her out with paperwork. She was in the plane too. So, and that was another shame because Randy Rhoads had so much more guitar playing to go. He came up with like Over the Mountain in one night. He told Ozzy not to go out because Ozzy was constantly getting in trouble with the alcohol and drugs and stuff. And he says, "Hey, why don't you stay here and we'll beat out a song? We'll come out with a song." And they did it in one night. And he kept Ozzy from getting in trouble, pissing at the Alamo or whatever. I mean, Ozzy would walk around
snorting a line of ants.
Yeah, he'd walk around in a dress wearing a German helmet. You know what I mean? He was way out of his mind. But they could come out with a good song like that in a night. Doesn't happen. Lightning in the bottle, and that guy come up with all kinds of cool riffs and stuff. And it was a shame that that he was gone too soon.
Did we miss anybody? Any more big names before we?
Oh man, we could talk forever,
dude. Elvis. Forever. I mean, Elvis, Chuck Berry.
Tell us about the scarf.
I've got it right here.
Oh, look, he's got it right there, ready.
Pull it out.
Well, I'm selling it,
dude. That is awesome.
Yep, my aunt was in the front row at the 1976 Champaign, Illinois concert.
Wow!
And he handed it to her.
David
you can see his makeup. Apparently, he wiped it on his face. There are makeup stains on it. So
I have a scarf.
Does it smell like ball sweat?
Yeah, what's the going price?
It's brute. 1,500 right now, but if we can find a picture of my aunt in the crowd, apparently there's a book about Champaign, Illinois, about the concert itself, the Champaign, Illinois concert. And if there's a photo from the stage looking down, he said if we can point my aunt out, he can get it quite a bit more than that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
the guy that's going to do the Kiss episode, he started out in his entertainment career doing some Elvis impersonations.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. He's a musician, actor, director now, but he was young.
Not to be nitpicky, but is Elvis classic rock, or is he golden oldies?
Well, I think
he's got to be oldies.
I think classic. I mean, he
See,
I'm 78, but I would say classic because
I think he's one that bleeds the other way.
Up to 60, up to 68, he was classic. After that, he was golden oldie.
Was it the 68 or the 69? The comeback,
68 comeback special.
That was awesome.
I'd go classic rock up till then. Then after that,
he was definitely doing the blues. I mean, that's the thing.
Sure,
and he definitely. I think it stands the test of time. I mean, that's
when the karate kicks and the jumpsuits come in.
Well,
I'm out.
If Elvis counts, then Bob Dylan is a huge one that we missed.
Oh, we missed. Yeah.
I mean, traveling Wilbury we talked about,
right.
but
and I mentioned him for the Last Waltz.
You did, okay, but I could talk about Bob Dylan for days. I left him off intentionally because I thought folk music might not make it to the classic rock.
Oh no, I'll put him in classic rock.
Yeah. Hey Al, what's the best lyrics in rock and roll that Bob Dylan sings?
Oh, the punk don't work because the Vandals took the handles.
The handles, yeah. I mean, that's classic.
My favorite line.
Yeah, exactly. So
one of the letdown concerts of we've got our legends list. Try to see as many legends as you can, and we got to see Bob Dylan here in Atlanta several years ago, and it wasn't great. He had just released a new album, and
I've never.
He kind of mumbled for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and
it got to me. That's where he was mumbling a lot, and there was a comedian that was making fun of his mumbling, and he did an impression, and it was spot on. I thought, oh man, how sad, because
you could see throughout the crowd, everyone's sitting, and everyone was just like this, and you could see the glow of their phones. No one was into it at all. You had people yelling, play Maggie's Farm.
I bet he loved that. Probably one of the most covered artists in history. He's got to be up there if it ain't. I mean, his songs, everybody's done his songs. So I
was going to say he'd be one of the guys that could sell his properties for some money. He's
at $1 billion for sure, too.
Yeah.
If the Beatles are at $1 billion, Dylan's there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple months later, we saw Paul McCartney. And Paul McCartney, I got winded just watching him. He's sprinting up and down the stage. He's having a grand old time. He's playing all the great old Beatles tunes and his solo ones, and he's just like a 25-year-old kid out there.
Well, and Mick Jagger, I heard, is still a friend of mine sent some videos of a concert. I think it was in St. Louis just about a month ago or so, and he was out running around and stuff. Stretchy pants don't look good. You know what I mean?
I would pay the money to see Paul McCartney again. I probably would not fork out the money to be able to afford Rolling Stones tickets, though.
Well, I can't even imagine what they cost now. Al and I were just looking up Judas Priest.
McCartney tickets were definitely up there.
What was the Judas Priest concert? $300-something?
Oh yeah, so Judas Priest has come to the Peoria Theater, which would be an awesome place to see him.
Yeah,
the balcony ticket was $300 and some dollars.
Eddie Vedder is playing in Chicago. Same deal, $300.
That was like the cheapest one.
Yeah,
300 something.
They're going to price themselves out. I can remember when I thought the only ticket I would pay $140, $150 to see Van Halen on their last tour with David Lee Roth. But
I paid way a lot of money for when I was dating Michelle, trying to impress her.
Sure.
Took her to. I had floor seats for Roger Waters when he did The Wall in its entirety.
Oh yeah,
which was phenomenal. But I mean, I kind of wrote checks I didn't have money for at the time.
Sure.
But it was worth it. But then recently we saw Elton John, and same arena, way high up, and just about the same price.
Wow. I'll tell you what.
Elton John tickets were crazy expensive.
In 2003, I went to Milwaukee for the Harley Davidson's 100th anniversary, and there was going to be a big name concert. So we get there, and tickets were not bad because they were really trying to support all the bikers being there, and food was good and everything. And we're thinking, all right, man, who's this going to be? American band. It's got to be Aerosmith. It's got to be maybe Bon Jovi. I mean, we don't know who it is. They drop the curtain, and it's Elton John. And I'd say probably 3/4 of the bikers, we all sat there and go, this is bullshit, man. A dude from England, you know what I mean? And we actually walked out. Now I wish I kind of stayed.
Oh, you put on a hell of a show.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I could imagine. I mean, it's had all the flash and everything, but I was just like, I don't know. It just was like a letdown. He was at Peoria too. He played not too long ago at Peoria.
My dad saw him at the United Center last year, or a year before
United
last.
Center, yeah. I think he was in the auditorium or whatever there. Not the.
Yeah, my dad keeps sending me selfies from these concerts he's going to in Chicago. He's like, yeah, I'm at Elton John. Hey, I'm at Jackson Brown. I'm at James Taylor.
Wow.
He's going. I know he's going to all of them. He's
extremely jealous.
Out.
I was going to say we didn't even like the Big Bopper and some of those other guys that were popular in the 50s.
That's golden oldies, I think. Now.
I mean,
too.
that's what
50 to 60 is golden oldie.
Yeah.
That's what I would classify.
You mentioned Chuck Berry earlier, Luke.
Yeah.
I'd put him in the early rock.
One
of the pioneers. Absolutely.
Little Richard.
He was one of the
big
founders of rock and roll. Yeah, Chuck Berry was. I mean, he was still playing up until. I mean, he was old, and passed away. But he would go, I want $10,000
in a briefcase.
They would $10,000 cash. They'd get some people, local people that would learn his songs.
Band. Yeah.
And he'd get up there, do his deal, get his money, hop back in the car, and gone. I mean, that's.
Speaking of older Chuck Berrys, you guys need to look this up when we're done here. Go to YouTube and type in Chuck Berry, John Lennon. So they played a few songs together, and Yoko was there, and she gets up to the microphone in the middle of one of the songs and just starts going, oh yeah. And Chuck Berry, he jumps. He's scared when she starts. He's like, what? And
I have seen that. Yeah.
What in the hell did this girl just do? He was. Yeah, he jumped out of his songs.
It's not exactly like Chuck Berry, but I was at Rock 106 used to have hog roasts every year, and they'd have different bands come in. So I was there. I saw Cheap Trick was the main act. I see Cheap Trick roll up in a limo. They get out. They do 45 minutes. They get in the limo. Boom, they're gone. It's just like Chuck Berry, but it's with their own musicians. I mean, it was literally they roll up in the limo, they pop out, they do 45 minutes, boom, back to Rockford.
I got a Rick Nielsen. I got a Rick Nielsen guitar pick from that concert.
Did you? I got it up on my little.
I have it in my wallet.
And he would throw those out like freaking gumballs or whatever.
I saw his. Not Rick Nielsen, but who's the lead singer of Cheap Trick?
Robin Zander.
His daughter has a band. I can't remember the name of it, but I got to see them play at the 9th Street Pub in Peru or LaSalle, one of the two. Yeah. It's like right there on the border.
I think I've seen Cheap Trick 5 times. But she's married to his daughter's married to somebody famous, or
I don't know. This would have been early 2000s when I saw him. So I mean, it's.
Their
but they did a kick-ass version of Hey Bulldog. That's what I remember from that show. That was a really good version of that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Rick Nielsen recently he was a guest on the Foo Fighters Sonic Highways album.
Yep.
Yeah.
We talked about that in the Radiohead episode as well. That album is, like you said, it's very underrated. I actually
had that vinyl. I didn't realize I had it. I was looking through all my with this podcast. I went through and let me see what I got, and I didn't even remember buying that.
I do too. Yep.
We should probably close this out, though. It's
it's 11:30 your time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, go to bed. It's almost midnight.
Before we wrap this up, I'd like to steal the pitch moment and turn it around to myself. You can support Music Rewind by joining our Patreon. Patrons have the ability to access all the future episodes long before they are publicly available. So up there right now, as we record this, you've got our Metallica episode, the Radiohead episode, the Kiss episode, and soon will be the Sunny Day Real Estate episode. And as we move into season 2, I'll be putting more finished episodes on there. I'm getting more people lined up. It's going to be a good transfer, and we've got more roundtables on the horizon. Also, please take a moment to give us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, Good Pods, anywhere that you do your listening. And lastly, please check out our sister podcast, Cinema Decon. On that show, I joined my friend Aaron Harned to overthink and deconstruct the great classic movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, which is also available wherever you listen. Well, gentlemen, thank you. This has been a lot of fun talking all things classic rock with you, and appreciate you doing this.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah,
thanks. It was a lot of fun.
It's a good idea.
And nice seeing you, Al. It's been
good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Great to see everybody.
Thank you again for listening to Music Rewind. And as I always say, listen to the full album. Until next time.
A podcast from the Sidereal Media Group. Back to you, anchors.